Kia tūpato, he reo kakakaka kai te haere. Heads up, there's some spicy language in this ep, so viewer discretion is advised.
I just, I couldn't be bothered, obviously this conversation's happening in Māori Beach, because I couldn't be bothered writing at the top of each page that K equals NG, so I just wrote an NG.
Oh.
And I turned to her and went, what? She goes, oh, you know, Mama, kei te pai, I ata pānui, it'll all be good. I'm like, you know, it's like, I said, darling, that's like me getting up to do one of my public speeches. And just before I go on, I say to myself, you know what, I'm going to deliver this speech in an Irish accent. And I've never practiced speaking in an Irish accent, but I think I can do it. What do you reckon my chances are going to be?
No mai hara mai ki Kapitu of the Cousins, Episode 3, Te Reo Rakatira.
Kia ora. Pehe ana koe.
Ai, pai ana, me koe?
Ai, kei te whai au, koe tino reiri ahau ki te kōrero ki tēnei kaupapa, te reo rangatira. You and I are both on our real journeys, getting our skills up, getting better at this language, this beautiful reo. I feel like there's so much funny stuff that happens when you're studying te reo and getting better. Is there anything that you've had happen that you thought was crack up?
My uncle, he teaches our whānau. We have like weekly reo classes where we wānaka together.
Shot uncle,
Yeah, shot uncle, thank you.
even though I haven't been to any of those.
Oh, so do you want the Zoom link to join?
I do.
Oh, beautiful.
Tukunamai.
Amazing. So my uncle and I, we have very different relationships to reo. So he learnt, I think, a bit more in his pakeke taka, whereas I learnt a bit more in my te maiti taka. And I also learned a tarika, or by ear. And he very much learned in the more academic, structured puka nei. And so I do find those classes quite hard. The process or the structure of those classes is not my best, or it's not my best self. So I think, honestly, every single question where he's like, Jade, hea te whakautu, and every single time, oh, ka rea te mōhio. You know, even my mum told me off. She was like, all you bloody say is, oh, wow. All you say is you don't know. It's like, I don't know. Or I'll say, oh my gosh, I know this one. And it's just, got it. And the other week, I actually got my first partai right. I was like, oh my goodness. Thank gosh, something's getting through.
Congratulations.
But yeah. Thank you, Uncle. It's taken 10 years, but we got there. Got a partai right. Kia ora.
We answered one question right. Kia ora.
Yeah, what about you?
Oh, there's so much funny stuff that happens in wānanga spaces. I haere au ki te tahi noho marae ki te tūranga nui a kiwa. I reira i te ako mātou i te kupu hei. Like, you know, diddala, tēnei, mea, hei, dilalala, you know, it's just one of those little words that you got to learn the function of it. And we're all going around and using it in an example. And look, bless their soul, one of the other tauira said, oh, anei taku hoiho hei eke i te tangata. And like, I heard that, I was like, oh, because what she said was, here's the horse that rides the person. But the implication was a little bit, like, I went back home to my koko because that cracked me up. Like, you know, we all make mistakes like that. But I said it to him and he's like, what is the English word for what she's just said? Bestiality.
That's right.
Tēnei mea, te bestiality. And that was, I just always think about that. But he said, mā te hapa e ako I a koe. Like, you're never going to forget that because the mistake and the feeling of making the mistake is like, I'm never going to do that again. It's a great teacher to make mistakes. I'd love to hear hato haerenga I te reo Māori.
I haere au ki te kōhaka reo, ki te kurakaupapa reo hoki i tōku tamaititaka. Te kau taku tau i te wā i whakawhiti au ki te kurakaupapa Pākehā. I nāenei, he tino wawata, i tino hiahia māku, ki te whakahoki, ki te whare wānaka, ki te whakapakari i tōku reo Māori, ka taia e au ki te kōrero te reo i ka wā katoa, aha ko te aha. I love te reo and I love speaking it. I love the feeling of speaking it. I know that I'm not that good at it. I'm not good at using it as much as I should. And I think part of that for me has been kind of navigating my own struggles with feelings of whakamā, particularly, you know, as a tamaiti, having the reo and having it at the same taumata as my reo Pākehā, but then not taking the care that I needed to be able to keep those at the same level. And so my reo Pākehā became my reo matua. So yeah, he tino wero te rā mahaku ki te hoki, ki te whare wānaka, kia whakapūmau i tōku reo, kia kore ai e karo, te rā tōku tino hiahia. Me koe?
Kia ora koe. Mea hoki, timata au ki te kohanga reo, ko te tirahau, tērā kohanga. He kohanga, he marae o Tūhoi. E tū ana ki Tāmaki Makaurau. So Tūhoi marae in Auckland. So I started in kohanga, you know, ko te reo Māori taku reo tuatahi. But I say reo tuatahi specifically because it was the first language I ever learnt, but it's not my dominant language, taku reo matua. But that is what I want, because amuri i te kohanga, you know, ka pika atu au ki ngā kura auraki, ki ngā kura kātori ka kaore rātou, you know, kāre au e rongo i te reo Māori i reira, i era wāhi. Ka mahi au i te kapaka, ka waiata, ka, you know, era momo mahi ka mahia, engari, kāre au i tino whakapakari taku reo Māori. You know, I te ako au I te reo Māori I reira, engari, when you're a teenager and you're not really that committed to it, you don't know how important it's going to be to you later, it's just not the same. Nāenei, kei te whai au I tēnei huarahi, ki te ako I te reo Māori, ki te kōrero I te reo Māori, tērā taku whāinga matua. Ka haere au ki te wānanga Aotearoa, ki te ako, and hea te taumata, te aupikitanga ki te reo kairangi. Sounds pretty gangster.
Sounds pretty flash.
Yeah, pretty flash. But that sort of level of reo, actually most of the class are kura kaupapa kids who are getting qualifications. And then I'm in there like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. You fellas have been speaking te reo your whole lives. But somehow I feel like I have things that I can help them with, and they have so many things that they can help with me with.
My uncle, sometimes ka timata ia ki te kōrero ki au I roto I te reo Māori, ka whakautu au e kare he ahua, kare te 10 o tika I tōku reo, no reira ka whakawhiti ia ki te kōrero Pākehā. I'm like, next time.
You just don't. yeah, like, Ngari, no mai te hapa. Ai. But I think it's so cool, you know, ki te whakarongo ki tō reo, nā te mea ka mau koe I te mita o kaitahu. I have mita rereke rawa atu ki taku reo. Like, you know, you got the kakaka, but you've also got the different kupu and different ways of framing things. And, you know, ki taku kaina, ko te reo o Tūhoi, te reo o taku korauā. Ko taku reo, ko te reo o te whare wānanga. Tō reo, ko te reo o kaitahu. And yeah, it's so cool hearing all these different versions of te reo, because it's not just one language. My dream is to, you know, me ako ai te mita o Tūhoi. That's what I want. I love hearing you speak our mita, te mita o kaitahu. Can you just tell us why that's important to you?
I think, you know, I tōku e au I ako ana, kaore au I mau I te mita o kaitahu, e kare I tōku pakeke taka I whakawhitia, I can't really place exactly when, other than moving to Te Ika Maui and then just having a really strong sense of, or the need to really whakamau I tōku kaitahutaka, because it was the first time being outside of that space. So I think that was a real driver for me, and just being proud to be kaitahu and wanting to take up space and wanting to spread te mito o kaitahu as well. And I will say, I think growing up, I think te mito o kaitahu was still becoming, like through the kotahi mano kaika strategy. Like, you know, got a shout out to our up and coming guest, Dr. Hakui Hanoa-Regan. Hakui Hanoa-Regan. She is really the face, I would say, of te mito o kaitahu. She's an amazing advocate for that, and so I do feel very thankful to her and that generation and all of those before her who were really driving for that, because it was almost lost, te mito o kaitahu. But, you know, we're coming back, and we're coming back stronger than ever. And so, yeah, I suppose, you know, kotahi manu kaika, kotahi manu wana, kotahi manu katahi. Fuck.
Kotahi mano kaika, kotahi mano wawata?
Kia ora.
Yeah.
Ko reira, kotahi mano kaika, kotahi mano wana. Fuck. Kotahi mano kaika, kotahi mano wawata. How am I going to say that? I cannot say that. Kotahi mano kaika, kotahi mano wawata.
Fuck, you look like you're saying that like at gunpoint, bro.
I'm sorry. Nō reira, kotahi mano kaika, kotahi mano wawata.
Kia ora, kia
Kia
ora.
ora.
And
I didn't
look-
come up with that.
Other people, man, came up with it. Very clever people. But, you know, you kind of can't talk to Hakui Hanoa-Regan without acknowledging the whānau that she comes from, and
Aye.
being the daughter of Tā Tipene O'Regan,
Aye.
who has been a massive advocate for kaitahu and has just, I mean, their whole whānau have committed their entire livelihoods to strengthening kaitahu, and I just feel like, yeah, so much gratitude to have her in this space.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to go into the kōrero.
Right, let's do it.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Tēnā kōrua.
Tēnā koe. Well, to many people, you're known as Dr. Hanoa-Regan. We've got a doctor in the house today. We're very lucky. But my mum actually said, hey, don't call her doctor, that's rude. Call her Hakui. So kia ora Hakui Hana.
Tēnā koe.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on, for particularly kaitahu rangatahi and rangatahi who are learning more about their iwi. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that process of learning the meta, or even just learning about, you know, the specific place that we come from.
I guess my thoughts would be more encouragement. We only live a short time in this world, and it's so much easier to feel connected and belonging, and that sense of belonging, when you know your whakapapa and how you connect to place and kin. I made a commitment pretty early on that what I wanted to do was work on helping the kaitahu be people that could speak again. Dad was a really strong supporter of the mita as a marker of our identity. And he'd say, if you say Aoraki, everyone will know where you're from. You say Aorangi, you could be one of 10 different places. And so that really stuck with me as that identifier. He also said when I got challenged about not being Māori enough, I remember probably about 13 years old, and he said, darling, don't worry about being Māori. Don't try and be anything of someone else's view of what Māori should be. You're kaitahu, you have that whakapapa, and no one can take that away from you. So just be kaitahu. And I also found that all the other things that people could say about, you know, being too white or being not this enough or not that enough, if you can speak te reo, it's really hard to then challenge people on that. So I wanted to do that with the iwi.
Kotahi mano kaika. I'm really interested to hear about that. I know you had a really pivotal role in the strategy and establishment.
I was 21, very young when I got my first job lecturing at Otago University. I know I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Same age as your student. I thought I was the schedule, whatever you say. I thought I was the bomb with my language, and it was still very much. I was still very much learning, but I became the advocate for the Kaitahu Mita. And when I first got down there was a small group. Tahu Pōtiki had just started up the first reo rumaki for Ngaitahu at Taumutu, but he brought in teachers from the North Island. The feedback was we should have our own teachers. So we got asked if we'd go and support. Then every holidays we would run reo rumaki. And then from that, after a little while, we realised that, we had great support, but the people that were coming weren't growing in their proficiency. We needed to do something different. So Tahu decided to call a small group of people. There were 7 of us together. He locked us away for 3-4 days in the university residence in Dunedin. After those 3 days, we had figured out what we needed to do, and we came up with Ko Tahi Mano Kaika, Ko Tahi Mano Wawata, 1,000 homes, 1,000 dreams. It took us a few years to persuade the tribe to get behind it.
Wow.
There's still a lot of anxiety because we've still got a lot of language loss, so they're quite scared by the mita. And so we've got a little pushback around it, which is sad. It's sad, but it's getting the younger generation who are growing up with Te Reo making the choices themselves. So that will just take time to people get more used to it. When I started speaking, people were like, what are you doing? What language are you speaking? It was so foreign to them. And now, with all my language friends from around the country, it's not an issue. Sometimes they'll be a little confused and then go, oh, that's right, that's what you're doing. But generally they're pretty good.
Being in Te Kā Maui, I kind of forgot a little bit that people aren't used to hearing the Kaitahu Mita, because I think that was also a big driver for me in trying to be a bit more intentional, to be like, Kaitahu's here. Ke konea ho.
Exactly.
Whakarongo, mate.
Aye.
So I've raised my children with Te Reo as their first language. I mean, I had to, because of course I was going around telling everyone else this is what they had to do. It's been amazing to see, as opposed to me as a second language learner, to watch my first tamaiti grow and then have that mita just as her ordinary, as who she is. She can't think of anything else. She was in year 9 when she was doing the NCA level 2 reo. She finished the exam. She goes, oh yeah, I think I did it okay, yeah. And then she goes, I couldn't be bothered. Obviously this conversation's happening in Māori, but she goes, I couldn't be bothered writing at the top of each page that K equals NG. So I just wrote an NG.
Oh.
And I turned to her and went, what? She goes, oh, Mama, kei te pai I a te pānui, it'll all be good. I'm like, did you practice writing in the NG first? She goes, kei te pai, Mama, kare raru. Well, of course, when the scripts came back, and I had to try and be nice. No, I didn't have to be. It was a stupid thing to do. It's like I said, darling, it's like me getting up to do one of my public speeches, and just before I go on, I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to deliver this speech in an Irish accent. And I've never practiced. Speaking in an Irish accent, but I think I can do it. What do you reckon my chances are going to be? But, it's been beautiful as well to see that next generation. The thing is, our people are going to have the choice, and how beautiful after generations of our language being squashed, not lost, but taken away from us, to be in this reclamation phase, and then to also see our young ones saying, you know what, I've got the choice of which mita I want to use, and I'm gonna be proud as and rock it. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah. It's not just for decoration, it's my reo.
Yeah, it becomes synonymous with your identity. And part of it is also that's that legacy, right? To me, when I speak with the mita, when I compose with the mita, when I stand up and proudly, even if people are laughing or whatever, when I hold on to it, I am recognising that legacy and that journey from our tupuna and what they've endured for us to be at this point. And that can really help you when you're getting a few of the sideways glances. our language is that marker, it is that identity, and that's why I think mita is such a beautiful thing that locates us to place and people and whakapapa and all things great.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the conversation, the kōrero. It's awesome.
Hakui, hello again.
I just want to speak te reo so badly. I ngā wā katoa. Ki te katoa o aku hoa, ki te katoa o taku whānau. You know, Mum, kōrero mai. Dad, kōrero mai. Koko, kōrero mai. Me maumahara koe ki te kōrero Māori. Nā te mea, you know, you've established all your relationships in English. Can we switch? It's kind of like meeting new people, but it's such a joy. It's so fun. You know, ahakoa te whakamai, all the bullshit of like, oh, I suck at speaking Māori, I've made so many mistakes, but it's still like, but I get to do this, and I get to get better. And I am kind of shit. But tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit less shit.
Yeah,
And that's so exciting.
Nā New Zealand On Air I tautoko.
Made with the support of New Zealand On Air.